Hello students, welcome to class. In this class, we'll be continuing our lesson from our previous class, which is trade associations. And our topic for today is other forms of trade associations. Our objective for this class is to look at consortium, cartel, amalgamation or merger, trust, holding, price ranks, and syndicates. These are different types of trade associations, and we'll also look at their aims, functions, and reasons for their formation. The first form of trade association we'll be looking at is consortium. A consortium is a short-term arrangement in which several businesses pool their financial and human resources to undertake a large project that benefits all the members of the group. A consortium can also be an association or combination of businesses, financial institutions, or investors for the purpose of engaging in a joint venture or joint project. Now let's take a look at the aims and functions of consortium. The first one is the purpose of consortium is to create a cooperation platform between its members for the implementation of large projects. 2. Joint coordination in the activities of members in achieving a set goal. And lastly for this class, to pool together their resources in order to achieve a shared objective. Before we move, let's see the reasons for forming a consortium. The first one we have is to finance a project which requires large capital. So consortium enables members to pool their resources together to be able to finance a large project. The second reason for creating a consortium is when the project is complex in nature. It is important to form a consortium or a cooperation between different organizations so as to pool their resources, their skills, their machineries, their technical know-how to accomplish that project. The next trade association we're looking at in this class is cartel. A cartel is an organization created from a formal agreement between a group of producers of a good or service to regulate or manipulate prices. In other words, a cartel is a collection of independent businesses or countries that act together as if they were a single producer, and thus they are able to fix prices for the goods they produce and the services they render without competition. An example of an international cartel is the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, that is OPEC. Now let's look at the aims and functions of cartel. 1. The main objective of cartels is joint profit maximization. The main objective of cartels is joint profit maximization. 2. Cartels aims at sharing of the market. Cartels aims at sharing of the market. Now, let's look at reasons for forming a cartel. 1. To keep up prices of their product. 2. To ensure higher profits for their members. 3. To reduce wastage by eliminating competition. And 4. To regulate output. The next kind of trade association we'll be looking at is amalgamation or merger. Amalgamation or merger is a combination of two or more companies into a new entity by combining the assets and liability of both companies into one. That is, Amalgamation means when two or more companies come to form a new company. Now, owners of each pre-merged firms or companies continues as owners, and the resources of the merged companies are pooled for the benefit of the new company. The aims and objective of amalgamation are: 1. Economies of scale. Now, bigger firms gain from lower average cost. So, if two or more companies merge together, it means that they will become larger and thereby reducing the average cost of production. The next is market power. The main benefit of a merger is to gain more market shares. Two or more companies coming together to form one will mean that they will become bigger and they will get more dominance in the market. Next is more prestige, also avoidance of risks, and lastly, it is so that the businesses or the companies will also have other spheres of influence. Now let's take a look at the reasons for mergers and amalgamation. 1. It is expected that when two companies merge to form a new bigger company, the value of the new entity will be more than the combined value of the two separate companies. 2. Generally, any company has two options to grow, that is, organic and external growth. Organic growth is achieved by an increase in sales by making internal investments, while external growth is achieved by an increase in sales by buying external resources through mergers and acquisitions. 3. A horizontal merger in a small industry will definitely help in increasing the market share of that company. Number 4, not every company can have all the resources or strength required for a successful growth. There will come a time when the company wants to acquire the competencies and resources that it lacks. This can easily be done through mergers and acquisition in a very cost-effective way as compared to developing the capabilities internally. And lastly, diversification of the company's total cash flow is a reason argued by managers for mergers. Now let's take a look at trust. A trust is a group of businessmen or traders organized for mutual benefit to produce and distribute specific commodities or services. A business trust is a form of business organization which is similar to a corporation, in which investors receive transferable certificate of beneficial interest. A trust is administered or controlled by a board of trustees. The aims and functions of a trust. 1. A trust protects the asset of a business owner against personal creditors because the asset of the trust belongs to the trust alone. This means that the creditor cannot lay claim on the personal asset of the debtor. 2. The administrative cost of a business trust is less than that of a company or a corporation. For example, a trust is not legally required to hire an auditor, disclose financial statements, or pay annual fees to registrars. And lastly, tax related to trust are less complicated. Reasons for forming a trust. 1. To protect separate property. Trusts are often used when individuals have separate property they do not wish to intermingle with their relationship property. If the separate property is placed in a trust, they no longer own this asset and it then can be kept separate from the relationship property. 2. to reduce risks of asset loss through business failures. For example, placing your house in a trust may help protect your family in the event of a business failure. 3. To reduce risks of loss of assets through legal actions. If your business is one that could expose you to a legal action through advice or actions, you may wish to protect your family by placing your home in a trust. 4. For planning succession. This may be done by passing on the family farm or business, or even just the family home. Using a trust is a way to plan for the smooth succession of assets from one generation to another. And lastly, to gain tax efficiency. When income is received in a trust, the trustees can elect to either retain the income within the trust or allocate it to a beneficiary. This decision should be made in conjunction with the trust accountant. Other forms of trade association are 1. Holding company. A holding company is a company that owns other companies' outstanding stock. A holding company is a type of business organization that allows a firm, called the parent company, and its directors to control or influence other firms, called the subsidiaries. The next is price ring. Price ring is an association of a number of competing firms who have agreed to operate a common price policy for their competing products. Price rings advocate uniform prices but allows competition amongst the firms. The firms are loosely associated together. And lastly, we have syndicate. A syndicate is a temporary financial service group formed for the purpose of handling a large transaction that could be hard or impossible for the entities involved to handle individually. Syndication allows companies to pool their resources and share the risks together. There are several different types of syndicates, including underwriting syndicate, banking syndicate, and insurance syndicate.
So now let's take a quick exercise. Question 1. Define consortium. Question 2. What are the main objectives of a business consortium? Question 3. Explain how cartels are formed. Question 4. State 5 reasons for mergers and acquisitions. And question 5. Differentiate between a holding and a trust. Good luck.
With this, we've come to the end of trade associations. Thank you for watching.